Matthew Ashworth, ABC News. Controversial lawyer David Meinfeld appears in the High Court of Australia today to appeal his disbarring for professional misconduct when conducting a defence case. Mr Meinfeld has previously been fired as a prosecutor for inappropriate and dishonest practice and will create history if he can win his appeal today.
David Meinfeld, once a respected New South Wales barrister, was recently disbarred for misconduct in the infamous case of the 101 Dalmatians. Mr Meinfeld represented the defendant, who was charged with 99 counts of dog napping. The New South Wales Bar Association sought to disbar Mr Meinfeld for conduct they deemed contrary to a range of barristers' rules. Among them, Mr Meinfeld coerced his client into pleading guilty, admitted evidence he knew to be untrue, and failed to advise the court of misleading statements that he had made earlier in the trial. Mr Meinfeld, you were once a highly respected prosecutor and defence lawyer. How do you explain your fall from these heights?
I lied. I can't say it any simpler than that.
When you were representing Cruella de Vil in the 101 Dalmatians case, you breached almost every rule in the book.
Well, that's one of the reasons I'm doing this interview. I mean, I'm being as frank as it's humanly possible.
Well, firstly, you were found guilty of intimidating Miss de Vil into pleading guilty. She claims you coerced her into pleading guilty. Do you understand that this constitutes professional misconduct that is well established in the Turner case?
Yes.
You have also been charged with breaching Barrister's Rule 22 for failing to correct statements you had made to the court that you later learned were misleading.
Yes.
So are you acknowledging that your conduct in the Dalmatians case was in breach of that rule?
If I did that, then, and I don't remember, but if I did it, then it was wrong.
You didn't stop at those two breaches. You suggested to a number of your witnesses that they give evidence that you knew to be untrue. This is a clear breach of the Barristers' Rule 43. Mr Meinfeld, the question many people are asking is why did you breach so many rules?
I had already dug a hole for myself and I couldn't see a way out of it.
We spoke to Catherine Taylor about Mr Meinfeld's chances of succeeding in his appeal considering past cases dealing with similar misconduct. Ms Taylor is an expert on legal misconduct with the New South Wales Law Society. Ms Taylor, what are the various precedents that David Meinfeld will have to contend with in the High Court?
The first case that comes to mind is the Turner case. In this case, Turner's counsel had been pressuring him to plead guilty. Turner subsequently appealed after pleading guilty at his lawyer's advice. The court found that Turner would not have pleaded guilty had he not been under the misapprehension that this advice came from the magistrate. A retrial was ordered. More recently, in the case of New South Wales Bar Association against Punch, Mr Punch secured an acquittal for his client on the grounds of witness testimony Mr Punch knew to be untrue. As a result of his behaviour, Mr Punch was found guilty of professional misconduct and disbarred.
So do you think Mr Meinfeld has any chance of successfully appealing his disbarring considering these cases?
Considering the similarity of Mr Meinfeld's conduct to both the Turner and Punch cases, I'd say he has about as much chance as becoming a federal court judge. None.
Mr Meinfeld, considering the precedents of R and Turner and the New South Wales Bar Association and Punch, it doesn't appear that your appeal has much chance. Are you prepared for your appeal to fail?
As prepared as I can be. I realise I have to take my punishment.
So now that you're facing the prospect of being disbarred, how do you feel about breaching the barrister's rules?
It's all criminal and it's wrong. And it's not just morally wrong either, by the way. It's communally wrong. And if people break those rules like I did, the society will collapse in anarchy. And it's as bad as that.
Of course, this is not Meinfeld's first encounter with the barrister's rules, after he was fired as a prosecutor for various indiscretions. The most famous when Mr Meinfeld prosecuted Mr Smith for a shooting in King's Cross. This is how the story was reported at the time.
My friend Swan and I came out of the tattoo parlour and there were these two wogs fighting, and the fatter wog said to the skinnier wog, "Oi, bro, you slept with my cousin, eh?" And the other one said, "Nah, man, I didn't for shit, eh?" The other one goes, "I will call them my fully sick boys," and then they pulled out a gun and just went, boom.
I didn't do it. It's all a lie. I'm not even a wog. Meinfeld just made up to get me convicted.
When prosecuting Mr. Smith 10 years ago, David Meinfeld did not provide the defence with all the evidence, used ad hominem attacks and inflammatory language to try and secure a conviction at any cost, and failed to advise the defence about evidence obtained illegally. As a result, Mr. Smith was sentenced to 8 years imprisonment. So what was Mr. Meinfeld found guilty of in relation to your case?
Some of the evidence he had, he didn't give it to me lawyer. It was lies and stuff, and we didn't even know about it until the trial. There was photos of a person with a gun, and he said it was me, and there was nothing we could do.
In the well-publicised case of Mr. Smith, an appeal court found that in making your case you had failed to provide relevant material to the defence, and the trial was rendered a nullity as a result. As a prosecutor, did you make it a practice of yours to deliberately withhold relevant information from the defence?
I suppose I did. I can't think that I had that as an intention, but of course I must have, otherwise why would you do it?
Was there anything else he did when acting for the prosecution in your case?
Yeah, the coppers searched my house without a warrant and found my gun. My lawyer said it was illegal, but Meinfeld didn't tell him until after the case. I had no idea, I just told the coppers.
Anything else?
He kept insulting me. Am I a lawyer in court? I stood up once and told him where he could shove it. Apparently I wasn't allowed to do that.
Now, Mr. Ramirez, if that is your real name, you were Mr. Smith's lawyer in his case. Can you tell us what sections of the barrister's rules David Meinfeld breached?
Meinfeld needed to divulge what he knew about the illegally obtained evidence. To add insult to injury, half the evidence he introduced in the trial wasn't disclosed to us beforehand. It's all there in Barrister's Rule 66 and 67. The guy must have been out to lunch during his professional ethics course at uni.
Your client suggested Mr. Meinfeld's conduct during the trial may have been in breach of a number of other barristers' rules. What exactly did he say or do in the courtroom?
The court transcripts tell the story better than I ever could, but some of the prosecutor's duties described in Barrister's Rules 63 and 64 require that a prosecutor will not press for a conviction beyond the full and firm presentation of the case, nor try to inflame or bias the court against the accused. Now, if you read the court transcript, you would know. As a matter of fact, I have a copy on me at the moment. If you'll allow me to read a few choice passages, you'll get a better idea of the tone of the proceedings. This is Meinfeld speaking. You made a mistake, Smith. Sickos like you always do. The only difference is that this time you're going to pay. You might beat the gas chamber, but as long as I have got a breath in my body, you will never see the light of day again. I bet you've got millions of excuses. Maybe your mother didn't love you enough. Maybe the teacher didn't call on you in school when you had your little hand raised. Maybe the pervert in the park had a present in his pants, huh? Well, I've got another theory, Smith. You're a weed. Society is filled with them. And it goes on and on like that for some 20 pages.
Miss Taylor, you've been following Mr. Meinfeld's career for some time. He was fired from the DPP in 2001 for misconduct as a prosecutor. What was the catalyst for Mr. Meinfeld's dismissal?
Meinfeld failed to call on witnesses he knew would be helpful to the defence case in cross-examination. In a similar case, the Crowns against Apostolides, the court found that the prosecution's failure to call witnesses had given rise to a miscarriage of justice.
Following this case, Mr. Meinfeld was subsequently fired from his position as a prosecutor. In one well-reported incident, he was recorded saying this about what should happen to people suspected of indictable offences.
We charge them with nothing, we offer them no bail, there is no trial, and there is no finding of any offence, and we lock them up and throw the key away.
So, Mr. Meinfeld, do you consider your conduct in Mr. Smith's case as dishonest?
No, I'm not dishonest, no. No, I mean, I don't want to be offensive, but that's a bit offensive, and I don't think I'm in the slightest bit dishonest. I just made a mistake.
It appears to be quite a few mistakes.
Not more than I've already said. I can't add anything to what I've already said.
David Meinfeld's appeal in the High Court of Australia was dismissed, and he was disbarred from practice. The justices were scathing on Mr. Meinfeld's conduct and took it upon themselves to remind him of the role of the defence and prosecution in criminal matters. They also said that this should be a lesson to any other practitioner considering acting in a similar way to Mr. Meinfeld.
I have started to accept that the justice eventually will prevail.
Hello.
Hi, how are you?
Good. It's not an easy interview to undertake, but I've agreed to it because that's what I have to do